Dr. Tomfoolery, mammal. Good morning.
Hello.
And how you doing, Sammy?
Good.
Good. Good.
Well today.
What's that?
Feeling well today.
Feeling well is good, right? Because you got your second jab and everything, and you're invulnerable now, right? Is that how it works out?
Yep, I've got superpowers.
Superpowers with your immune system. Your white blood cells have been, I don't know, maximized. I don't know what the words are.
Well, I'm not worried that I could die now. I'm okay getting it if I get it. Not that I'm gonna lower my standards or stop wearing masks or anything, but just the stress is gone. So,
well, what's up, John Hudson? Love the look, sir. Love the look.
Lazy pirate day.
Lazy pirate day. So, not being, I would rather take a kick in the balls than dying, and if that's what getting the vaccine means, I'm just going to get kicked in the balls in case I get COVID, I will gladly take that over being on a ventilator and then dying. Yeah, that's not even hard.
I don't recall any other vaccine in my life, though, making me feel so crook.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a function of the mRNA vaccines, right? Because I don't think Johnson & Johnson has the same side effects. What's up, Paul Camish, the bloody atheist? For calling yourself the bloody atheist who's on mute, you have a significant lack of hemoglobin being splashed around over there. I would expect there'd be more blood.
Hello.
How are you doing from the shed?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Have you done the magnet test if you've had both injections?
The magnet test. So how's it going over there?
It's funny, but I literally have done it.
You haven't? Have you tried it?
It's just something, yeah.
Just to see.
It's you have to. Just more to laugh at the people who actually think there's something to it. I showed that person I was telling you about who brought the little video clip to work and was like, oh, look, my partner's friends at work are magnetic because they've had their shots. And so I went to work after mine and it's like, look, both arms, nothing.
Yeah. The world's gone mad, hasn't it? Yeah. Answer to your question, Andy. Yeah, I'm on my first of my 4 days off. The sun is, as you can see, keeps coming out and going back in, but it's a warm day. So, yeah, life's good at the moment.
Well, that's the safest thing that you can say is that it's at the moment, that little part at the end.
Yeah. It could be lashing down in an hour.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you don't know what's going to happen.
No.
You don't know what's going to happen. But so enjoy the good times while they last, right?
Yeah. But to enjoy the good times, what's the saying? You've got to put up with a little rain sometimes.
You do. So Paul, I meant to mention this and I don't know if I've mentioned this in the past, but I see that you have an MG symbol up there on the shed wall above you.
Yes.
I have to tell you, the funnest car I ever drove was when I was in high school. My buddy had a 1974 MG, and it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure to drive. A lot of fun.
I'll just see if I can just carry on talking. I'll just look on here and see if I can find. I had an MG a few years ago.
Oh, yeah?
I'll see if I can find it. You'll just carry on talking while I search.
So MGs, to let you all know that if you don't know the car, it's a little convertible. And so my buddy had the car, and I don't know how he got it or where he got it from, but I decided to bang out of work. I decided I'm just going to call in sick because this guy's got an MG and we're just going to drive it around and be crazy. So we're driving around. We're having the best time. I go into work the next day and my boss goes, Andy, I saw you on Route 44 yesterday in the backseat of this convertible going like this, screaming down the road. It's like, yeah, that was me. I'm busted.
Yeah. Do you know the story behind MG, do you?
I do not know. No, please tell.
Yeah, it originally stood for, well, it still does. It's Morris Garage. And basically what it was just a guy on his own and he had just a little garage. And what he used to do is he used to do people's cars up. So people would buy a car from the manufacturers, they'd take it to him, and he would do little bits and bobs to it and basically do it up. And then it would become an MG because basically he'd done some work on it. And he was that good at the work that he did that eventually the motor industry, they either employed him or they bought him out and used the same sort of things that he was doing. So that's why you've got all different cars. So you could have I can't think of one off the top of my head. Ford Fiesta. So you could get a Ford Fiesta MG. So it wouldn't just be a Ford Fiesta. It would be a Ford Fiesta that had been made to, these different modifications that made it an MG.
So it would be made so that it wouldn't suck then. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
It'd improve it, yes. It'd be better than it was, yeah. Let me just see if I can find them. I've got that many photos on my Facebook thing. I know I did put some photos on there.
I dated this girl, went out for a couple of days with this girl, well, back in the day when we were, I think, still in high school. And her dad actually worked on MGs. He just worked, people would bring theirs in, and he would just work on them in the driveway, and that's how he made his living. He happened to be the same person to show me his gun collection, too, when I went over there for dinner.
Right.
I think there was a message.
Yeah. Possibly.
Just booked another wedding to shoot.
Okay. That's great.
I'm shooting a party tomorrow night, and then I've got a wedding shooting on the 7th, one on the 15th, and just booked one for the 1st of November.
So, John, without incriminating yourself or anyone else, do you have a crazy story from doing these wedding shoots?
I love weddings. They're awesome. I mean, I pick up phone numbers every time.
You're crushing it, John.
Free drinks. I was really, I always liked going to weddings and stuff. And then my daughter, is going to be having her baby anytime. And I've done second shootings with her. And now I get to go out and I'm doing the shootings and she's doing the editing.
No, that's nice.
It's fun. I didn't think I wanted to go back to work, but yeah, I'm loving it.
Well, I have found that being at work actually doesn't suck.
Yeah.
What I found. Not having a sucky job. Oh, and being at work does not suck. So that is an MG right there, Paul. I can see it.
Wow, they changed a lot.
Yeah, they have changed a lot.
I've got a little Saturn Sky that
you still have a Saturn. I had a girlfriend who had a Saturn, and it ran well,
well, it's the little
a while back, of course.
It's a little 2-seater roadster. The Sky is a lot of fun, except it's sat in the garage for over a year. I haven't, with the COVID, I haven't drove either of my vehicles in over a year.
It's another good view. The thing is, when my car was sitting for a long period of time, it was rough. I had to put it out on the highway for it to, it was really rough. It's working fine now because I use it every couple of days. But I am happy to announce that maybe within 3 months, I might be able to get rid of my car and be officially carless. So that is a strong possibility at this point. We'll see what happens in 3 months. The girlfriend says the first car I ever bought was a Saturn SC2.
They run forever.
Do they, huh?
They're good cars. I had one that I used as a commuter that was a wagon. Threw my tools in it and everything. Lot more affordable than driving any of my trucks I've ever had.
Well, what were Saturns? They were meant to be able to compete against
the Toyotas.
Against Toyotas, right?
Right.
And weren't they actually? I'm trying to think about Saturn now. Wasn't it an American car company that was partnering with a foreign car company?
I think it was I'm not. I think it was that GM with Toyota technology.
They were trying to make non-sucky cars. Fancy that.
They ran that little one I've got up there. I fired it up the other day, took the cover off and fired it up, and it runs like a champ.
Great.
My daughter's got a new 2021 Ford truck that I like driving, that or the Jeep. So
Sure.
Mine are mothballed. I mean, I'm basically put more miles on my tractor than anything.
Right. I can see that. When I was up visiting my mom and the family a couple of weeks ago up in New York State, the next town over was doing their tractor parade. I don't know what you would call it. It would be like a drive through the city center of local tractors. Everyone brought out their tractor and just drove down the boulevard, I guess. I was not there to see it.
A convoy.
That sounds like an absolute hoot.
Especially
You ever been on a tractor, Sammy?
Yeah, I have. It's
American
great
women
fun.
find them sexy. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it was the first vehicle I drove was a tractor. It was the old grey Massey Ferguson.
Yep.
It was the one where, to start it, instead of using the key to start it, you used to have like a little brass button next to like the gearbox. You used to press in the brass button with your ankle and then get the gear stick and put it to the top left, push it, and that would engage the starter motor.
But Paul, how were you able to shovel the coal in?
Yeah, I asked for that one, didn't
I? I'm sorry.
Oh, God.
I've never actually driven a tractor. I have sat on a stationary tractor as a kid, but yeah, I've never actually driven one.
I'll see if I can find a photo of the old grey tractor.
So, so right now I'm down to one job, which I'm quite happy with, to tell you the truth. The job that has one, because remember, I went from 0 jobs to 1 job to 0 jobs to 3 jobs. Now I have gone back to 1 day job. And I think this is the job that has won my heart, so to speak. So,
Andy, I'm so confused. It took me till the end of the stream. You'd been responding in everything to messages, yet I thought it was pre-recorded.
That's funny, Sammy. I saw your comment there. That's a that's the old school tractor. It looks like an old school tractor.
Yeah, it'd be probably 1950s. I don't know what year they'll have been in.
All right.
It was an old one when I used to drive it. It was back in about 1982, 83. I used to drive that about.
What? So yeah, Sammy. It looks like I'm not going to say that I'm going to do a live.
Do you see Tobin?
But no, I don't see Tobin. I'm Tobin. What's up, brother?
Hi, Tobin.
Morning.
So yeah. Well, what do you got there, John? He's muted. You've muted yourself, sir. Oh, he's got to run.
I think
maybe.
Yeah.
So
like or something.
Yeah. So there will be. There's going to be something at 9:00 every day. I'm still seeing a wavering foam, brother. I can't see. It looks like a car. I mean,
that's the sky.
It's way too high.
It is hot.
I don't know how to adjust brightness.
There you go. That is a car. That's a convertible. I can tell it's yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Corvette yellow. Fun car.
That's how. Yeah.
It's not going to be practical with the new baby, but for me and the grandson, it's been a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm sure your grandson loves it.
He does, and it's just I got to get something to hold 3 now.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah, so Sammy, there's always going to be a video, and everyone, there's always going to be a video at 9 a.m. It's either going to be a live video like it was today, or I'm going to just drop it. It depends on my schedule, basically, and how things flow. I mean, my schedule is still in flux, basically. So I'm thinking the live videos will be the way I go, but my schedule could change, and I'm going to have to do recorded videos. So that's how it looks right now.
And what are you going to do if you have to get rid of your car in 3 months? Are you in a position where you can get another one, or
yeah, I could if I need
without?
to. I could if I need to. Right now, my one job, I can walk to. It takes me 15 minutes to walk down there, so that's a big time saver. Both my oldest boy can drive, so he's driven up here a number of times. And my daughter has taken the train a number of times. And if nothing else, I could always don't let the girlfriend know, but she has allowed me. I've used her car too on a number of occasions, which she's allowed me to use. And if nothing else,
e-bike, Andy.
What's that?
E-bike. Yeah. That's the way to go.
The e-bike. Yep. Yep. I can. The girlfriend has mentioned it to me that the biking does make sense, and I'm like, yeah, I know it does. I know it does. And maybe I'll be able to, the thing is with me, and this is, I think, normal for people, is that it takes a while for behavior change to occur, right? Yeah. So, I've been talking about.
It's funny how we didn't see segways appear everywhere throughout the city. Like people thought they were going to.
Yeah, they never took off.
I think the fact that the guy that invented them rode one off a cliff has a lot to do with the fact of why they never caught on. But they do look fun.
I have ridden on a Segway twice, and it was fun. I was able to deal with it after some trial and error, more error than trial, to tell you the truth. But yeah. The only time that you see them now is when people are doing those tours, right? I saw one group of people in Boston taking their lives in their own hands by braving the city streets on Segways. And I'm like, wow, hats off to you, brave folks.
Downtown Austin, all the tourists ride the scooters everywhere. They've made it to where what would be a three-lane road both ways. One of them's made directly for just the scooters.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to have. If there were more dedicated, bike lanes where there's a physical barrier between a bike and the cars, I would feel better about that. And there are a few in Boston, in Cambridge, and Somerville. That would be, and we're definitely trending in that direction. Getting more dedicated bike lanes with physical barriers to them.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem we have in the UK. The bike lanes are we do have them, but they don't seem to go all the way you want to go. They tend to end halfway there. I don't know how true this is, but I heard years ago that like they're in Denmark, where they've got it's everything's set up for cyclists, isn't it? They were talking back in the day of doing the same thing in the UK, and they were on about putting these cycle lanes in. And apparently, how true this is, I don't know, that the cycling associations and clubs and stuff like that got up in arms about it. So this would have been like 50s and 60s, got up in arms about it and said, no, you're not forcing us off the roads. We are entitled to be on the roads the same as the cars. And basically, they were in fear that what was going to happen is the cyclists were going to be taken off the roads and put onto these cycle lanes, and that's where they'd be restricted to using the bikes. So basically, all these cycle clubs said, well, if you build these cycle lanes, we're not going to use them because we have a right to be on the road. So it never happened. So that's why cycle lanes are pretty much almost non-existent in the UK.
I remember here, and it's so typical of how people, you have unintended consequences of your actions. What's up, John? Were you doing something?
I'm just my nervousness is all. Sorry.
Oh no! I saw you waving your hands, so
I'm a shaky person.
Okay, all right. Unintended consequences of actions, right? So people thought that, hey, in this case, that the bike lanes are going to kick us off the roads, when in all reality, it could have just saved lives.
Yeah, and I suppose back in the 50s and 60s, there wasn't an amount of traffic on the road, so to them it wasn't really an issue. Whereas now it's just absolutely deadly. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, I got back into cycling about 4 years ago. I haven't used the bike this year, but usually every summer I usually get the bike out and start cycling again. But it's just so dodgy on the road. It just really is so dodgy.
Sure. Stan is sharing something right now.
I really like the bike paths in my city because
wait, let Dr. Tom.
Finish up. So
because there are dedicated paths that are just bicycle, and also many of them you can walk on too, where it's like there isn't even cars on the path at all. It's just I can go from middle of St. Paul all the way out to the suburbs on a variety of paths that are just bicycles. They go all over the place. Those are really nice. And it's not even sharing with cars. It's just only bicycles and pedestrian kind of traffic. So
in Salt Lake, it was very bicycle friendly. There was bike lanes everywhere. I mean, you could get from one end of town to the other, but hell, I would not get on a bicycle here in Texas. There's no way.
I think they'll shoot you for that, John.
You're trying to be healthy, boy.
Georgetown, Texas was badass.
What's that, Tobin?
Georgetown, Texas was badass for bicycling because they had a huge sidewalk. Or if you wanted to walk, run, or had a little e-bike, you could get from one side of the town, go over to Walmart. Everything was like in walking distance, basically. Sometimes it would take a little while because you're walking, but it was awesome because it had a big ass trail made with a huge cement sidewalk.
Cool.
I don't even have paved roads where I'm at.
So you're more likely to get hit by a tractor? Is that what you're saying when you're riding a bike?
Or a road deer.
So Sam, what are you showing us, brother?
This is the majority of our bike lanes. It is literally a bike painted into the shoulder.
Yeah.
That's it. But now, remembering here in Australia, we drive on the opposite side. So we would, turning left in this lane, we turn into the bicycle.
Yeah.
So they're just disgusting things. Like, they don't work the way they're supposed to. Bikes do not use them. They just use the lane because the lane's safer. At least the car has to deal with you.
Yeah, I can see that, dude. I can see that.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that down. Dave says in the chat, let's see if I can sum this up. We have too many cyclists killing our roads. If we didn't have cycle lanes, we'd have a bike-demic. Indeed, a bike-demic. Our problem is that people using electric motorcycles and scooters down the bike lanes at 20 to 40 miles per hour. Thank you for using the imperial measurements, Dave. So you're saying that motorcycles and scooters can go down regular bike lanes?
You're not supposed to.
That sounds like crazy.
I don't know about America, but
well, that's Canada right there, where Dave is in BC. So yeah, I know that in bike lanes, motorcycles can't use them legally.
Yeah.
They might dart in and out, but you're not supposed to use them. And Dr. Mordecai was saying he wiped out on his bike on Sunday. That sucks.
And one of the bizarrest things that I've seen in recent times with traffic laws is this idea of motorcycle filtering. I completely understand the idea behind it, but it actually blows my mind that something like that got passed.
So what does that mean, motorcycle filtering?
So in Australia, we have these filtering laws that say a motorcycle, if the traffic has gone below 30 kilometers, which, sorry, I can't give you the imperial on that. I think it might be 10 or 15 miles an
Be
hour.
about 20 mile an hour, well, 30 kilometers, I think.
Oh, there you
It's-
go.
it's-
So,
it's somewhere
yeah,
between
close
15
to
and
20. Yeah.
Between 15 and 20.
They're allowed to go in the center of the two lanes and go in between the traffic. Once the speed picks up above that, they have to pull back into the lane. But if they're at lights, for example, motorcycles can come up to the front of the lights by law. The theory of filtering is that the motorcycles can take off and be gone. And this helps traffic congestion. But all it means
I don't know
is
if
that
that's the
you
law
have
in this country, but
motorcycles.
that's pretty much how bikes seem to operate in this country. Whether it's a law or not, I don't know.
And I think it's almost like they just resigned themselves and said, look, they're going to fucking do it. We might as well make it legal to do it. But you're sitting there driving. It might be slow, but all of a sudden, you know, especially like a big Harley Davidson or something that sounds loud, buzzes past, and people often swerve towards the sound. Or like, it's crazy.
I wonder.
Do you have that?
I have no idea to tell you. I don't think we have anything like that here at least in Massachusetts. But people do it. I mean, people do just kind of, you know, if you're on a bike and if you're you see people on a bike, and if it's slow traffic, like on the highway, they'll just like scoot through, or on busy streets here in Boston. But it strikes me as dangerous, and in passing a law like that seems to be endorsing in some way dangerous behavior.
Yeah, and I mean, all the signs everywhere say check for cyclists or check for motorbikes, but then they go and bring out a law that lets them ride like that.
Yeah,
it's very specific. They can't use the shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
That's still illegal. It has to be in the middle of the two lanes.
Sure. The girlfriend says some states here allow lane splitting, which sounds like what you're talking about. Like in California allows that.
That's essentially whilst in motion, you are lane splitting, but they call it lane filtering because the motorbikes essentially come through the traffic to the front and then take off.
You know, and we know that anecdotes aren't good data, but she does mention that had a friend die doing that while in California. Yeah.
I've seen somebody get rolled up inside of a wheel well of an 18-wheeler, like right in front of my eyes, like just.
On a motorbike.
Whenever I pull up next to a car at a stoplight, they always beat me in the drag race.
Even when you ring your bell, brum, 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 brum. What's up, Jenna? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, Simply Secular puts in that, you know, his bike, or imagine a bike right next to your driver's side window in traffic. Yeah, it seems like a poor policy. It doesn't seem, maybe brought to you by the same anti-mask crowd, you know. Sammy, in Australia, do you guys have a helmet law for motorcycles?
Oh yeah. That's the only thing you have to wear by law.
The only thing? So
on a motorbike, you could be naked.
Oh, you want to wear full leathers while riding. If you ever lay down a bike, it'll save your fucking skin.
I see the kids getting around the streets here in their shorts and thongs or flip-flops, and that's it. No helmet, and they fly, and I'm just...
Little road rash will cure that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a story about that. On my job, I do instant support. Sorry?
I was saying, although, John, they're pretty dumb, mate. I reckon they wouldn't learn their lesson, to be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
What were you
On
saying,
my
Paul?
job, I do incident support. So basically, I assist the police with road traffic accidents and stuff like that. That's one of the parts of my job as well. And a few years ago, I was going down the A64, me and a buddy in the vehicle that we drive. And luckily enough, it was quite light traffic. And there's a woman laid in the middle of the road, and this is a dual carriageway. So we put all the beacons on, pulled up to stop, and I thought, what she'd done is she walked across the she walked across the road and got knocked over or whatever. Anyway, when I got to her, this off-duty police officer had just arrived as well, and he got to her, and I realised there was an helmet at the side of her. And basically, she was on the back of the motorbike. The guy that was riding the bike, he'd accelerated, and she'd come off the back.
Oh, shit.
And she had a T-shirt on and jeans, and it shredded her jeans, shredded her T-shirt, all her stomach, all down to her knees, and the backside, just like somebody had gone at her with an angle grinder. And I think I never realised that's what would happen. I never realised that it would be that bad. And I think it's not until you see that you realise just how important it is to wear leathers.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have. I'm not a bike person anyway, but I would have thought that a pair of jeans would be adequate.
Oh God!
I mean, thinking about it now, no. I mean, obviously it wouldn't.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't have thought about it until I actually saw the state of this woman. I wouldn't have really given it a thought, and I thought a good pair of jeans, but no, it just tears them away.
I have to say, the bike license course here in Australia was pretty good, although I did have pretty good instructors, so I guess it does come down to the instructors and the life experience that they had and what they felt, I guess, important to tell you that wasn't in the curriculum or whatever. But for example, he described all the different types of jackets, so leather to Kevlar to denim and things like that, and their resistance time. So when they're tested at the same speed, dragging along asphalt, how many seconds you get. And I think it's at 60 kilometers. So what we're talking about, 40 odd miles they're tested at. And there's nothing that will survive for more than 3 seconds. And that's Kevlar.
Yeah.
So if you slide for more than 3 seconds over 40 miles an hour, you're going to wear a hole and you're going to hit flesh. Yeah. And that's Kevlar.
Yeah.
So he said, like, jeans don't even, like, that's instant. There's no time. They hit the asphalt and disintegrate. It's quite mind-opening. And you see, then, like I said, you see kids getting around, not even a T-shirt on.
I know.
Well,
they have no clue.
I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about this, about how our bad brains affect our bad behavior. And I think we talked about this the other day, right, about the fear of heights and about how evolutionarily speaking, it makes sense for us to have this fear of heights because our ancestors were living up in trees and they died falling out of trees. So that kind of got baked into our brains. But no monkey ever died from going on a bike at 50 miles per hour up until recently. And that's why we don't have a natural fear of going fast. Most of us don't, at least.
Do you think there were monkeys with fear of heights?
Oh, yeah. I mean, monkeys actually are afraid
Stay on the ground.
Stay. That's where all the predators are.
Oh, okay. So it was the lesser fear.
Yeah.
A fear in the sense of a healthy respect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I meant like a phobia type fear. And just see a monkey.
I remember reading in a psychology book when I was an undergraduate that, and this is a horrible study, by the way, is that they would take a chimpanzee who had never seen a monkey, who had never seen a snake in its life, and they would throw a rubber snake in there, or they would just place a rubber snake in there, and the monkey would freak out. And I don't know how good the study is because I am recalling something from over 30 years ago, of course. over 25 years. So give me a little bit, but I'd like to see more about it. That there might be some of these baked in fears of like maybe spiders, snakes falling that we've inherited.
I've seen some
And if you think about
videos of monkeys here recently where they use a little robot, like they had a turtle and they have other little mechanical animals that are fitted with cameras and audio equipment, and they sent the turtle in, and at first, yeah, they're like poking at it and then running back, yeah, because it's something different, you know. They gotta check it out.
I don't know if you saw the video of the chimpanzees, and I don't know if this is real or not, but I saw a video of chimpanzees messing around with a drone. Anyone else see that? Is that real?
Not seen it.
No, I feel like I have to go check it out later on.
When you say messing about with it, what they're actually doing? Did they actually get it to fly with the remote control?
Oh yeah. No, I don't know if they've been properly trained, because you would think that chimps would be smart enough to handle basic operations, like, and have the finger dexterity to like handle a drone. But the video I saw, just this monkey and this other monkey looking at him, just like playing around with a drone.
But it makes you wonder if there is that I guess it's genetic, instinctual knowledge, if you will, that it's something bad or to be avoided. That's some powerful shit. And it makes, if you think of it in terms like of humans and religion, it makes the fight seem that little bit more daunting, doesn't it?
Well, it does, to tell you the truth. I mean, there's a common statement that, you know, everyone was born an atheist. It's like, well, yeah, maybe, perhaps, but I think that we have predispositions towards crazy thoughts and thinking things are real that aren't real. So I think that there's something wrong or something disingenuous. Not disingenuous, but not accurate about the statement that we were all born atheists.
Right. Like I've encountered people making that statement as well. And what I always think is you're not born an atheist because you can't handle those kind of concepts. You don't have that idea yet of what religion is or what God is until you like actually encounter the actual concept, you know, a person being like, hey, you know, there's this thing that is God, you know, then you can't really like think about it yet. You're like in this neutral zone.
I was going to say virtually the same thing. Until you understand the concept, you're neither, are you? You've got to understand the proposition first before you can be classed as an atheist, I think. But going back to...
Do you know Jehovah's Witnesses must read their propaganda to their unborn children?
I think you told us that before, Sam. And that's just nutty. I don't care where he's from.
Fucked up shit, man.
That's just nutty.
What we were saying as well about the monkeys putting a snake in there and them freaking out. I've seen the same thing with cats. Apparently cats will do the same thing. If you get a snake and put it next to a cat, they'll freak out as well.
Right.
And what you were saying, Sammy, yeah, there is animals that can have certain instincts or reactions to things that they've never seen before. I used to have Harris hawk. I used to be into falconry years ago, so I used to have Harris hawk, red-tailed hawk, kestrels, and stuff like that. Now, the Harris hawk...
The things we don't know about you, Paul.
Right.
You're only just telling us this now?
Yeah. Well, basically, yeah. A Harris hawk will react to a dog. The reason that is the only thing that competes for it in the wild is basically some sort of a dog, a fox type animal. That's what competes with it. So what they'll do is when they see a dog, they'll scream out and make like an alarm call about the dog. And basically, because Harris hawks, they actually will hunt in packs. It's to warn the other ones that these dogs, you know, or prairie dogs or whatever they are about. And it's to warn the others. Now, the Harris hawk that I got it as a young one. and they were basically bred in what you call a closed aviary. So it's like this. The only thing that's open is the top. Everything else is closed. And the reason you breed them in that is when you're bringing food, you don't want them birds to associate you with food. You want them to be as wild as they can. So when you train them, the better trained, rather than imprinting onto you. Because if a bird imprints onto you, when it sees you, it will call for food because it will associate you with basically the food bringer, the parent, so to speak. They become imprinted onto you. So you have them basically in a closed aviary like this, and allow the parents to bring them up. Once they get hard feathered, you then go in, catch them, and that's when you start the training with them. So I got this Harris hawk from there. So it had never seen a dog. It had never seen humans. It was as wild could be without actually taking one for the wild. I got it all trained up. And the first time it saw a dog, it reacted in exactly the same as all the other birds do, that all other Harris hawks do when it sees a dog. It'd never seen one before. Why would it know to do it? It's something that's in its brain. And as soon as it sees a dog, it would scream out. And the beauty with them, going off subject a little bit, but the beauty with them is if you've got a dog, you can get them that they will eventually get used to the dog and they won't react to it. And they will actually work alongside dogs and not class them as a competitor for food. I used to use ferrets. So I used to take ferrets with me, put the ferrets down the rabbit hole. The rabbit holes would jump up. The bird would then chase after the rabbit. Obviously, when you first start doing this, the danger is that you've got the bird on the glove, you put the ferret down the hole, the ferret goes through the holes, comes out, the bird then goes for the ferret. So what you do is you keep the bird on the glove.
Wild, using animals against animal.
Yeah. So what you do is you keep the bird on the glove, and you wouldn't release it unless you're absolutely sure that a rabbit has come out, because obviously you don't want it to get hold of the ferret. The first couple of times you use the ferret, it goes down, it will chase a rabbit out. You let the bird go, it catch the rabbit, or the ferret would come out and you would hold the bird back, and the bird would, be sat on the glove. It would raise its wings and it would go to try and go after it, but you've kept hold of it. After 2 or 3 times of taking it out, and I would say literally only 2 or 3 times taking it out, the birds were that intelligent that they realised what was happening. They realised what the ferret was there for. They saw you with the ferret in the hand. They saw you put it down the hole. They've done it a couple of times. In the end, the bird, I could release the bird into the trees, so that I'm totally hands-free now. I put the ferret down, and the bird would never go for the ferret. Never went for the ferret. It would be sat there, even if it was on the glove or on a branch. And if the ferret come rushing out of the hole, the bird would go like that, and then it would stop. It wouldn't actually take off and go for it. And then the second a rabbit appeared, the bird was off after it.
I was listening to Science Friday, the podcast from NPR, and they did a segment about animal intelligence. And I thought birds were just bird-brained. I think that's a malignment. I think that's an insult against birds. I'm just looking at a chart right now in terms of birds have pretty large forebrains. They have a lot of material, a lot of brain dedicated to the forebrain. Well, there you go, Paul.
Thanks for that link, Tesla Ranger. There's some really interesting articles in here. I've clicked on, so it looks like there's 6 parts to the study. And there's a report titled Slithering Snakes, Angry Men, and Outgroup Members, What and Whom We Are Evolved to Fear.
Yeah.
And they're talking about animal fears such as
It's an old one.
Snakes and spiders, of course, and consider claims that fear of social stimuli such as angry faces or faces of racial outgroup members may also be acquired utilizing the same preferential learning mechanism.
Yeah. I did save the link to Tesla Ranger, because Tesla Ranger, if you don't know this, everyone, dropped a link to the study about rhesus monkeys and their innate fear of snakes. And there's a bunch of other studies that Samuel was just talking about. So I'm going to check them out later on. And another picture of a hawk. Yeah, so birds have pretty big brains. I have new respect for our avian friends.
Birds are extremely intelligent. They really are extremely intelligent. Have you ever you notice with crows? You know, when you're driving down the road, you'll see that crows will they'll be pecking at carrion on the side of the road, and they'll spot you coming a mile away. It's really difficult or very rare for you to actually hit a crow with a car.
Yeah.
Anyway, they did a study on this a few years ago to why the crows seem to have the intelligence to get away with cars. We're not being hit by cars.
Make the pun. Get away with murder. A group of crows getting. I'm sorry, that was
Yes,
just
a group of crows called a murder. Yeah. So they did this study to see what was going on, because there was a certain road where there were so many of them getting killed. They were actually getting killed, and when they looked into it, they found out what the problem was. Is that what normally happens is they're in pairs. So one will be eating the carrion, and the other one will be at the side of the road. And what had happened was when a motorbike came, a lot of them would get hit by the motorbikes. And the reason this was is that when the lookout saw the car coming, it could go car, 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 but it couldn't say bike.
I feel like I've just been listening and watching the magnetic coin video there. It took a bit of road to get to that punchline.
It did.
Paul, good job, well done. Funny thing about crows, and I think I've mentioned this before, the same podcast episode, they were talking about how while many animals have been negatively affected by climate change, crows have actually expanded their territory in the West. Maybe because they're filling other birds' eco niches in, or just because they're more adaptable because of their big brain size. Marmaduke Scarlet asks, have you not heard of the African gray parrot? I don't know. I can tell you that my boyfriend back in the day had an African gray. His mom had a parrot. I'm not an expert in parrots. I don't know that much about parrots, to tell you the truth.
He says they can count and recognize shapes and colors.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
It is interesting that a lot of this is about experimental design, right? I remember once again back in the day reading about Clever Hans. Clever Hans was a horse that people thought could add and subtract and multiply, and it turned out that it was a scam. that there was some kind of finger or hand gestures that the owner was able to give to Hans, and that's how he was such a good mathematician.
That's
And what's been there? Crows also use cars as a tool to crack nuts. I have actually heard that, yes. That they will drop nuts onto the road and wait for cars to come along to crack them and then go down and collect the nuts.
That's nice.
And it wouldn't surprise me with crows.
So, Jobin, what were you going to say?
That's something that bothered me as a kid. I remember being like, oh, does this animal go to heaven? And the response I got to it was like really horrible, and it just put me off. And I was like, why are they looked down upon so much? Like, why do humans think that they're not intelligent or have no sympathy and stuff like that? The more and more I learn about animals, I'm just like, animals are conscious creatures that are just as complex as we are.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, as soon as you start saying or start entertaining the concept that animals have some variety of consciousness or some kind of awareness, right? Then it starts becoming a pretty morally slippery slope in terms
humans
of
are just a type of animal.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's the toxic thing about Christianity and other faiths is that it elevates us into a whole different category of creature than from animals, right? I mean, we're given dominion, and that just creates an environmentally unsound philosophy.
Not to bring it down too much, but animals can hold their bloody own. I'll share this.
They can do what?
Hold their own against us. I've shared a news article from August this year.
Wow. Baby dies after mother falls while trying to dodge a swooping magpie.
They're evil. They're evil. They all need to go to fictitious hell.
Wow.
Fucking
Well,
magpies.
Are magpies a type of
story.
crow?
It's a horrible story.
Are magpies crows or a type of crow, a species of crow?
Yes. Yeah.
I guess we're going to talk.
Well, a crow, there isn't actually a bird that's a crow. A crow is a group of birds, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so magpies, jays, jackdaws, rooks, they all come under the category of a crow.
Corvids.
Corvids, yeah.
So crows, ravens, and jays and magpies are corvids.
Yes.
And Tesla Ranger puts down this disturbing fact here. New 2018 research shows that American crows will occasionally interact with the dead, including engaging in necrophilia. This is how you get zombie crows. This is how you get zombie crows, everyone. Harsh. Wow.
Animals, man.
Yeah.
And I mean, we all know elephants grieve over their dead, but did you know that they will do it for decades? They'll return to where like a matriarch died, and they'll even teach new babies, and those new baby elephants will go and pay respects at those grave sites to elephants they've never even met.
Mm.
It's insane.
That is
you just imagine what an elephant obituary would look like.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever understand what actually goes on in an animal's brain, on what it's thinking, and just how deep possibly some animals, like you say, like elephants and animals like that, how deep they can actually think. I mean, like dolphins are supposed to be, and whales are supposed to be highly intelligent, probably even more intelligent than elephants. They've probably got not far off the same amount of thinking power as what we have.
Well, we lucked out with fingers.
Yeah, that's the only difference. I mean, obviously, even which would be absolutely possible, even if a dolphin or elephants became, or were possible to become even more intelligent than us, they'll never be able to achieve what we do, for the simple fact, like I say, we've got these. How's an elephant going to build a car? Or a dolphin going to build something like it? Can't, because it doesn't have the ability to do it.
Bipedalism
it's training other animals to do their dirty work, kind of like you do.
Well,
yes. In that.
See, the advantage elephants will have over dolphins is fire.
Right. Yeah. Well, yes. That's
they will never. Dolphins, I guess, unless they somehow figure out how to use like thermal vents or something, they'll never be able to forge metal or anything like that.
I think we lucked out also with being bipedal, because just being able to have your hands free, or an appendage free that isn't dedicated solely to locomotion, that you can start using them to build tools and to interact with the world. Yeah, and there are trade-offs, like bad backs, for example. Bad backs, complete, an effect of bipedalism.
Yeah, we're just lucky that we're like this, and we've got a reasonable. We're reasonably intelligent.
Just reasonably intelligent enough. That's all it is, brother. It's just intelligent enough to get from one day to the next. Maybe not blow ourselves.
It is. But the problem is we judge all other animals on our intelligence, don't we? We try to gauge other animals' intelligence to our intelligence, and it doesn't really work. I don't think you can judge it that way.
Well, So what? And I agree, because it isn't just that it's our intelligence, but it's also our. It's as if we bring to this argument, to this discussion. It's like, well, how much stuff do you have, Mr. Octopus? I don't see you living in a big McMansion or having a 401k plan or a retirement plan. How smart can you really be? Yeah.
Yeah, they have actually shown that octopuses can and do plan ahead, though.
Yeah.
That's one thing that they will do. They will plan plan ahead. They don't just live for the moment. They will actually plan ahead.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Tobin?
Oh, I said, oh, what did I say? I said the octopus is pretty smart because they don't use money to survive or something like that. But
Yes. Smarter than us on that count.
Yeah.
may not have a mansion, but they
But
can.
and a way I like to try and get my head around animal consciousness, or not consciousness, sorry, intelligence, is the closest I can sort of get to it is when I think about other languages and how we like to think that it's just a direct correlation to our language, but they often won't have things like the. And that's a concept that doesn't even exist within that language. It's a whole different way of thinking. And that's about the closest that. And then when you look at, if you've ever seen the different way they teach kids mathematics around the world, like I think it's in possibly India, they use lines and like draw cross hatching and then put their numbers on like a little diagram thing, and that's how they do all their multiplication and division, and they can work stuff out like twice as fast as people who do it the Western way. And again, it's we like, I look at it and go, what the hell? But that's the way they've learnt to think, and it is a whole different way of thinking.
Well, what helped
we can't
me,
even relate.
Yeah, what helped me get my mind around math, at least a better understanding of math, and believe me, I'm not a mathematician by any ways, shape, or form, but that math is more of a process, like the scientific process. So it isn't just a combination of facts, right? It isn't just multiplication tables, and the big difference between how math was taught to me, for example, and how math is being taught to my kids, or was taught to my kids, it's more in that kind of method, Sammy, more in this is a process, and it helps to be able to think about math in a variety of different ways, to be flexible in your thinking, as against to just being rigid rote memorization.
Yeah, a lot of people think of math as just arithmetic, when math is so much more than just arithmetic.
Yeah. And that makes sense when you think of the word maths, right? Because there are multiple maths. See, I learned a few things being on the internet. Not a lot of things, but a few things.
Was that Twitter that taught you that?
Totally. I'm big on the tweets.
Interesting
and
that happened yesterday when I went out. I actually came across a person using a word literally that I 99 point whatever percent time only ever hear people use figuratively.
So were they literally using the word literally?
No, not the word literally, but the word that they were using, people usually use figuratively, but they actually used it literally. And it was the word undermine.
Undermine.
Yeah. Because there's a work crew, they warned a person not to use the sidewalk because it had been undermined.
Oh, all right.
And they had literally undermined the sidewalk.
Yeah.
But most people use the word undermine as a figurative term, and it was like, people actually use it literally still these days.
That is an interesting. You don't get to use undermine. There are not a lot of medieval fortresses getting their walls blown apart or crumbled due to mining. But that is proper use of the word.
Yeah, but they were working on a utility thing underneath the sidewalk, so they had undermined the sidewalk.
Yeah. And it hurt their feelings too. All right. On that note, I'm gonna have to close up shop here, everyone. We're doing the same thing tomorrow. 9 o'clock is the regular show. 9:30 is the after party after show. And of course, you can always find me on my blog, Shamla Hamla. That's not the name of my blog. Laughing in Disbelief. Links and
Get out there and vote.
Take care, everyone. Thanks, panel.
Vote
Thanks, chat. Thanks, everyone. And I hit the magic button.